Welcome to Member Voices, a podcast by the New Jersey Education Association. Join hosts Sean Spiller and Jeff Bradbury as they discuss today's hottest educational topics with New Jersey's educators and share our members' voices with you. And now for your hosts, Sean Spiller and Jeff Bradbury.
Hello and welcome to Member Voices, a podcast from the New Jersey Education Association. My name is Sean Spiller, and with me is my co-host, Jeff Bradbury. On each episode of Member Voices, we sit down with amazing educators who have helped New Jersey's public schools achieve the #1 ranking in the nation, something we are so proud of. Now, in today's program, we'll be speaking with James Frazier. But before we get to our interview, I want to welcome my co-host, Jeff Bradbury, to the program. Hey, Jeff, how are you?
I'm doing well. Sean, how are you?
I'm doing well. I can't complain. Always a lot going on, but so many great things. So can't complain.
There are so many great things happening in New Jersey. And, you know, on our last episode, we had such a great piece of feedback from our interview with Amy, all about her students and the amazing program that she's doing in her school district. Yeah,
I got to tell you, I had a chance to work with her, in really close setting for about a year. And she is really an amazing person. She really just stood out to me. I remember when we had a number of things early on, and she invited all of her students. She was really wanted to keep them front and center, and really just epitomizes, I think, what so many educators are all about the kids. And she really was special and in her role as Teacher of the Year. And I know she's continuing to do great things.
It's certainly nice to have so many great educators on the show here, Sean. And if anybody out there listening would love to be a member of our podcast family here, there's, of course, several great ways to be a part of this. You can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, Spotify. And, of course, all of our show notes are archived over on njea.org/podcast. Sean, episode number 5 is here. We are doing some really cool things, and we just want to make sure that the NJEA knows we're here to support them with their member voices.
Yeah, that's right. I think you noted the ways to tune in, listen in. But as you also alluded to, if you're an educator out there and you want to make sure your voice is heard, please email us at podcast@njea.org. and share with us a little bit about your program or a little bit of your story, and we'd love to have you on.
We certainly would. Now, Sean, tell us a little bit about Mr. Frazier, who's going to be on the show today.
Well, James is really a unique individual with so many different perspectives. He's a member that I've known for so many years, and he's one of our essential school personnel. Sometimes you'll hear people talk about our ESP members, and James is an ESP member as a security guard. He also has the very unique situation of working in the school district where he went to school. I think that's pretty cool, but I think he'll be able to share with us a little bit of what that's all about and what that's like. He's also a member of Color, and our organization has been laser focused on engaging all of our members, including underrepresented groups for far too long. I think he'll be able to share his perspective on that as well. So I'm really excited to hear from James, and I'm sure he's excited to share with us something big going on in his life. He's currently running for Secretary Treasurer of the National Education Association, which represents 3.2 million educators throughout the nation. So I'm excited to talk to him today, that's for sure.
Absolutely. And let's bring him on today to the show. James, how are you today? Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Well, you've got really a unique background from some of our members' perspective. I think they'll be excited to hear a little bit about what you do, but just importantly, what you're involved in. But first, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're working and what you're doing?
Okay, Sean. First and foremost, I'm from Union Township. I am a 24-year school security guard in Union High School. I began my career back in 1996 as actually a classroom assistant paraprofessional. And I found that I enjoyed working with the kids one-on-one, but I noticed that I had more of an impact of working with the entire school community. So I found an opportunity to become a school security guard, where it was allowing me to be able to touch each student and parent and community leaders as they walk through the door. And it also highlighted what I'm capable of doing is keeping our school community safe in Union Township. I've grown in that capacity. Right now I'm working at the high school in which I graduated from. I am the father of 2 kids. Both college graduates. My daughter is actually presently about to graduate from Kane University, class of 2020.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Proud dad moment. My son is a graduate of AMDA University. It's a musical theater college in New York City.
Excellent.
And my lovely wife for the past 9 years, almost 10, is a world language teacher in Union Township. We actually met in the building in which we worked, and she is the highlight of my life. Believe me, without her, I probably would not be where I'm at today.
Well, listen, which I still will ask you, what's it like to work in the school that you went to? But first and foremost, it sounds like it's already paid dividends, so that's great.
Yes, it definitely did.
No question. What else is it like, though? I mean, when you first started, were there a lot of educators that were there when you went to school? I mean, did you know a lot of the staff, or what was that like, kind of going back to a place where you went to school?
Well, let's put it this way. My 21st birthday was spent in the teacher's lounge. Most of the teachers and staff that was there remember me when I was a student in 6th grade. So It was kind of, it was kind of awesome to be able to celebrate my first 21st with the staff there. And but yeah, a lot has changed. I've seen people come and go. I've seen people come back as substitutes. Presently, one of the school security guard substitutes is my former football coach, as well as a former administrator in my building. So I've been around for quite a while now. So it's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, it's amazing how time flies, right?
Yeah, it does. It definitely does.
Well, what do you remember back from when you went to school there? Maybe who were some of your really most memorable educators that you had experiences with?
Okay. Well, I actually still work with one of my most memorable educators. Quick story. Over the past, I think it's about maybe a week or so ago, I was at a ribbon cutting in town. And one of the gentlemen at the ribbon cutting was the mayor's aide. And he was a former student of mine. Hadn't seen him in quite a few years. He went away to the military, came back, and now he's working in as the mayor's aide. And he came up to me and said, Mr. Frazier, I want to thank you for all that you do, because a lot of the gentlemen didn't have father figures while they were growing up. And he saw me, and a lot of his friends saw me as their father figure. So to me, that is like one of the most ultimate compliments that any educator could receive. It was amazing. I remember telling my wife as I walked out how proud I felt to see these children make it, coming from different types of backgrounds, and I had some input into how they have become successful.
Well, I think that's just a perfect example, though, of how it just does come full circle, right? It's that educator who was there for you, or each one of us, I think, has a story where someone went above and beyond and really helped us, and this was your chance, and it's all of our opportunities to kind of go back and help that next generation. And you're helping that right now. You're helping to do that right now. So, thank you. And I think that the amount of lives that you're helping to change, it's just immeasurable.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you've got a unique experience. You're someone who is, working where you went to school. You've got a role that puts you in contact with so many members of the community, so many members of so many family members of our students. As we always like to say, you're one of the essential school personnel, our ESP members that we have throughout the state. So kudos and thank you for that work. But what is it that you're really passionate about professionally, and what is it that you like to focus on?
Well, in regards to talk about membership, obviously, I love to advocate for my members. To me, professionally, that's one of the most important things, highlight of everything I do each day. There's not a time that I don't go to bed thinking that a student may not, a staff member may not have received all the services to which they are deserved. If there's an issue that is pertaining to a staff member, I need to make sure that I get it done and get it solved. And it doesn't necessarily take a lot of time to just step forward and be that voice or that advocate for the individual. Being an ESP member, I'm granted to know most people that are walking in and out outside of our buildings. I'm usually able to get into places because of my schedule that I'm able to be there and advocate for our members. So I think that's what I'm probably most passionate about, is advocating for our membership, especially our ESPs.
Well, listen, you're in a unique position, and maybe it's a great opportunity. Certainly, we have 200,000 plus members throughout the state. I'm sure certainly others who are not educators but just want to tune in and listen. But can you talk a little bit about the process? I mean, what are the levels? For our audience, there's a local level to be involved at. There's a county level. There's a state level. There's a national level. What roles do you play at each of those levels? And and how do they differ? Like what type of help can members get at each of those spots? And then, how do they use that to help our students?
Well, first and foremost, I come from the world of all things are local. So the most important thing is to really get involved with your local, because that's what's affecting you each and every day. It's always going to be the ones that impact your working conditions, whether or not who's walking in and out of your school community, what type of education the child that you are serving in your community is getting. So in regards to working at a local level, I've been a building rep. I've gone from being a building rep to a head building rep. I've been fortunate to move in the world of politics by becoming a government relations chair, which I still think to this day is one of the most important positions I've ever held, because of the fact that in government relations, you're able to affect policy. By having those conversations with the people you elected to be in the office. You carry a lot of power as being a voter. And I think many times we as members forget that, especially as ESPs, because most of the time we live and work in the communities in which we serve. So a lot of those politicians or members of the Board of Ed or members of your township committee or your mayors, they rely on you to be the ones that put them in office. So a lot of your issues that are affecting your school community, your children, your precious resource, is affected by the policies that these individuals are making. So the local level to me is one of the most important things I've ever done. But again, I've gone up. I've worked in the state level as on different committees, Congressional Contact Committee. I've worked on some ad hoc committees. But I've also been an NJEA executive committee member, which again affects our policies of NJEA, what we do as NJEA to service our members. Again, having a voice for all members, especially those who may feel as though they're being left out. But I can tell you that as I continue this journey, now being as an NEA director on a national level, I've seen where we as ESPs, as members from New Jersey, could bring that number one education system and what we do in the state of New Jersey to the national level. As a board of director, I've served on the NEA budget committee, which again, it's a strategic planning of budget. So what is said and done in the room and what I receive from the members from, again, that local level that's brought up to the national level is put in within our policies on the national level. But again, I'm proud to service my members across this nation, being a spokesperson. Again, me is all about advocacy, being a person who can advocate for the members, but now being to touch members across this nation, across the world, being an NEA director is amazing, and to be a part of the NEA budget committee, it's very fulfilling.
So let's say I'm a new educator. You got me hooked, right? That's your elevator pitch. I get that everything that does impact me in my building or in my classroom or whatever my role is in the school is impacted by my Board of Education members and others. So I want to do something. What's your advice to that person as to how to get involved? Where do you go to get started? What does that look like when you're first trying to get involved?
Well, it looks like to me is you go up to your builder rep. But I would expect, me being a builder rep, that I would have already come to you. All right. I've already would extended myself out to you to know that I'm here for you. And as a new member, you don't have to be out there, with holding a rally sign or something. It could be just as little as you taking a flyer, going to knock on a door of one of your next door classmate, classroom teacher or educator, and getting them involved with whatever it may be. It could be a letter writing campaign. It could be we just need somebody to make some of the signs for some of the issues that we may be trying to fight for our school community. That's what I see. And also, it could be also an avenue for you to work on your professional development, because again, you have someone who is new to the career. They don't have any idea what's going on in the building. And the fact that you as a building rep has reached out to them, and as a new member, you're able to receive that one-on-one connection from someone who is working within your school community is huge. That goes a long way. Tell your story. I first got involved 20-something years ago because one of the classroom teachers walked up to me and said, James, we could sure use somebody to go and hand out some flyers for one of the rallies that we were having in Union Township at the time. And I didn't have to do much. All it took was me to go from classroom to classroom or stand outside the school and hand educators, the people who I worked with, a flyer that say, make sure you come out in May for a rally. Something that simple. And I understand the whole concept about tenure and the fear of it. But listen, this is you educating your community to what is better for your students that you service every day. Because a lot of the issues that we as educators are fighting for are those that are affecting our school community. And they're bringing more resources for our school community. So to me, the education aspect of me as a building rep to the new members is key.
Hey, so you touched on something there. I know that's a big part of our focus. Certainly it's around educational justice, but racial justice, social justice, all of those pieces that we know come together, economic justice as we're having these conversations. We're focused on that as an organization, but I think it's also safe to say we're also focusing on that even internally as we move forward. And we're making sure we're having sometimes the tough conversations, but conversations that are going to make us stronger. What's your perspective in terms of where we are? Certainly as a fellow educator of color and somebody who's been involved in so many ways and seeing what the organization is doing, how would you assess where we're at right now, and where do you see us going in the near future?
Well, first off, for me to be in leadership is a huge thing. 20-something years ago, I didn't see too many people that looked like me in leadership of NJEA. And at the time, it was a little rough to see yourself be a part of an organization where you didn't see yourself in the organization. But I think we've grown leaps and bounds. We have a great initiative going on in the state with our member of color convenings, which have started to garner a lot of the members to draw into the association. But I believe that we still have quite a bit of ways to go. But I know we are doing the due diligence to get these things done. As I see it with our staff members, I'm starting to see members of color starting to reflect within our staff. So I think we're moving in the right direction. Listen, we're having the same issues on the national level too. It's we want an organization that's going to reflect this entire community of everybody that's a part of this association. And I think that we as NJEA are doing all the right things into moving in that direction. And kudos to you all for doing that, because I can see that you're putting forth tremendous effort to get that done. And I'm starting to see a lot of the members who reflect me are starting to see that, listen, we can start filling these shoes that we're now being held for us.
Well, speaking of filling shoes, if you hypothetically, let's say, were to become one of the officers at the National Education Association, what would you be pushing for? What would you be trying to do? What would be your vision for the association at the national level going forward?
Well, I appreciate that question, Sean.
I'm sure you probably do appreciate that question.
Well, what I do want to see is something that
well, listen, full disclosure for our members out there, James is running for Secretary Treasurer of the National Education Association, position that will be determined this summer. So go ahead, James.
Yes, thank you. And make sure you guys come out to the RA. We can use as many bodies, those seats as we possibly can. But and you can talk to all your local county leaderships and local leaders to get that done. But my vision for NEA is to have an organization that reflects its entire membership. And I don't necessarily just mean by racial demographic. What I see is that we need to have an organization that is saying that everyone has a seat at the table. Many times our ESPs, our higher ed members feel as though that they're lost in this whole scheme of NEA. And I think that's more because they don't see themselves in the leadership and the direction in which we're going. So that's one of the things that I look forward to doing. Also, one big, huge thing for me is getting more educators of color, especially men of color, into the education profession. That's something that I definitely will do during my first term as Secretary Treasurer. I'm looking to put more resources into making sure that that is accomplished. Again, going to school in Union Township, I didn't see many educators that were sitting in front of me that were teachers. So it was not something that I thought that I would aspire to do. But I understand that there is a need for it. Coming from urban or slightly suburban, urban school district, and the demographic has changed quite a bit over the past 30 years. There is a need to see that reflection in front of our classrooms, or even most times when you walk into a school building, the only people of color you see are those who are custodial maintenance, and there's nothing wrong with that, or our security officers. There's nothing wrong with that, because I've done a tremendous job in moving our students forward and in trying to achieve that higher education or whatever they may want to do with their lives. But I think for them to see themselves in roles of educators in front of the classroom, teaching subjects that matter to them, I think it's huge. That's definitely something. Also, I want our organization to understand that we're going to set the right tone at the top in regards to our resources and financial, as well as our staffing resources, to start to hit our local levels. I think many of the small locals feel left out of the big scheme of NEA, and I want to make it that they have more touches from us as being leaders. It's good to look at us on fronts of magazines, but a more direct approach of going down there to those local levels means a heck of a lot more. I remember as a new member, Joyce Powell coming down to come see us in Union. I remember meeting her. I remember sitting down with you, Wendell, Marie, Steve. I think that's huge for ESP or a small local to feel as though that they're appreciated by our leadership. So that's what I'm looking to do. Obviously, as a Secretary Treasurer, my job is to make sure that the books are in order, and NEA is moving in the right direction in regards to what we've done post Janice. Just a little note that I was a part of the NEA budget committee that was tasked with moving the NEA forward post Janice. We put together a budget that has seen nothing but solid increases. We've seen where a lot of the programming efforts have seen nothing but spectacular success across the boards, and I want to continue that. But also, I want to grow on that with what I was referring to earlier, by growing the educators of color, by growing our ESP leadership, by growing an organization that is reflective of all its membership.
Hey, James, can you explain to everyone out there, what is Janice? I heard you say it before. What is Janice? What does that matter? And why'd you reference it?
Well, Janice was a key Supreme Court ruling that happened, I would say, roughly over 2 years ago. It basically affected how our association or labor unions were able to collect dues. It allowed some members to be able to refuse membership and not have to worry about boards of eds, to be able to just take their dues away. So in states like Wisconsin, which is affected years and years ago, they saw drastic declines in their union membership. We're fortunate in NEA, and I believe as well as NJEA, to have the prudency to put together our financials as well as our strategic planning in order to service our members, to have an experience from our association that is going to impact them in a positive way. And we did not see the losses in regards to what was affected through Janice. So,
well, James, I'll just jump in on you there and say, well, that's a big part of it's you and so many of our members who are engaging in conversations with others so that people understand the value of membership and understand the power of union and the power of working together. So kudos to you as well, because it is a team effort. And I think it's the reason we're successful is because all of us really pull together around this issue.
Exactly.
Well, James, explain to everybody out there, why does it matter? How does this help kids succeed? Certainly, I think having a diverse educating workforce is something I hope is obviously beneficial to everyone who's listening. But maybe on the other fronts, having every member voice heard, advocating for the things that we do. I mean, tell me why that matters. Why does that matter to our students, and how does it help them?
Well, it matters because, first off, we're going to go to that electric voting box and put individuals in office that are going to set policy for our classroom environment. I believe that our students are our greatest commodity here in the United States, and it's what has set us apart from the world for so long. If we continue to allow people who are running in the government, like our Secretary of Education, who has no idea what it means to be an educator, but they're now setting policy for us, for what we do every day that is affecting our greatest commodity, which is our students, then it's up to us as members who are on the ground level each and every day servicing our communities to be there and be involved and become elected officials and start to make choices that are going to positively affect our students and our families within our communities. I'm a big proponent of school community resources. To me personally, your school should be your hub. I think everything should come through our schools. Again, as an ESP, we live and work within our communities. We are essentially those who have that everyday connection, whether we're in the supermarket, where we're at the movie theater, where we're at the salon, getting our hair done. The fact that some of us are coaches, we have an everyday impact with our students. So I think if we get more member voices involved, not just